Hi, my name is Faye and I'm a director at Harrison Clark Chartered Surveyors. Following on from our recent video on damage as a result of notifiable works under the Party Wall Etc Act 1996, I thought it would be helpful to go into detail and refresh your knowledge on notifiable works. Generally speaking, when carrying out works to a party wall, building close to neighbouring properties or along boundary lines, you should consider whether the Party Wall Act applies. If you are completing any type of alteration work to a shared party wall, excavating within 3 metres or in some circumstances 6 metres of a neighbour's building, or planning to build along a boundary line, it is likely that you will need to serve notice upon your neighbours. The Party Wall Act also covers work to party structures. So if you're a developer adding storeys to an existing apartment building, for example, you are likely to serve notice in connection with this work too. The Party Wall Act details the rights and responsibilities of building owners planning notifiable works or neighbours affected by those notifiable works. But people often get confused by this term, notifiable works. Notifiable works, at the end of the day, are construction works which require notification under the Act. The Act does not just cover works that directly affect a party wall. The idea is that it covers any construction work that could affect the structural strength or support of a party wall or structure, could cause damage to a neighbouring property or cause significant inconvenience to that adjoining owner. Notifiable works fall under 3 categories. Section 1, constructing new walls on the line of junction. Section 2, construction works to a party wall, party structure or party fence wall, and Section 6, adjacent excavation and construction. Any construction work that falls outside of these 3 sections of the Act are not deemed to be notifiable works, do not require a party wall notice, and therefore cannot be dealt with by party wall surveyors. Any new construction abutting the line of junction or on the boundary line will trigger the requirement for a party wall notice under Section 1 of the Act. This applies whether you intend to build astride the line of junction or wholly on your own land. You will only be able to build astride the line of junction with your neighbour's approval, as you're effectively building on their land. If constructing a garden wall, notices are still required as they would be for a new building, but no such notices are required for erecting a fence. If constructing an extension, for example, up to the boundary line, you will need to ensure that the building's eaves or guttering does not oversell adjoining property or land, as this could lead to trespass issues, which would be dealt with separately from the party wall process. It is important to note that this section only applies to constructing new walls. If there is an existing wall and you plan to knock this down and rebuild in the same position, or your neighbour has already built at the boundary, Section 1 is not applicable. If Section 1 does apply, you will need to provide your neighbour a minimum of 1 month's notice before commencing work. Remember, if your neighbour dissents and a party wall award is required, this could take longer than this 1 month notice period. Our recommendation is to serve your party wall notices as soon as possible. The most common type of notifiable work we deal with is when alteration works are being carried out which requires steelwork to be supported by a party wall. Although works such as the removal of a chimney, insertion of a new damp-proof course or flashing, and raising the height of a party wall are also covered. You will also need to notify your neighbour if you intend to underpin the wall or to demolish and rebuild. You do not normally need to serve party wall notices if you're completing minor works such as putting up shelves, redecorating, or renewing plaster to an existing internal wall, as these are unlikely to affect the wall's structural integrity. If Section 2 applies, you will need to provide your neighbour a minimum of 2 months' notice before commencing work. Again, it is important to serve the party wall notices as soon as possible to prevent delays to your construction works. If you plan to excavate or dig, whether for foundations or other purposes, to a depth greater than the depth of neighbouring foundations and within 3 metres of a neighbour's building or structure, you will need to serve notice. It is likely that when laying new foundations close to older buildings that your excavations will be deeper, and so notices are likely to be required. You will also need to serve notice if you plan to excavate a trial pit to ascertain the depth of your neighbour's foundations. If you are excavating to a greater depth, for example for piled foundations, within 6 metres of a neighbour's property, In some circumstances, this will trigger the service of a notice too. This is the case if a 45-degree angle drawn from the bottom of neighbouring foundations would intersect any part of your excavation. If Section 6 applies, you will need to provide your neighbour with a minimum of 1 month's notice period before commencing works. UK Government publishes an explanatory booklet on the Party Wall Act, which is available on their website and provides helpful information on notifiable work. We also have several videos going into further detail and a party wall blog, so head over to our website and YouTube channel to find out more. At Harrison Clark, our team of experienced party wall surveyors can help ensure you understand what elements of your proposed works are notifiable. Don't forget, we also offer a 30-minute consultation for £100 including VAT, where you can ask us any question in relation to your party wall matters, including understanding whether your work is notifiable under the Act. If you're in any doubt as to whether notices need to be served under the Party Wall Act, one of our party wall surveyors would be pleased to discuss any party wall matter with you over the phone on 023 8155 0051.